Hey, you Nathair. Now run!
Guys, it's official. Dying Light 2 is actually coming out.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
But wait, what's Dying Light? I hear some of you uncultured swines asking. Well, buckle up and let me tell you, because you're going to be in for one hell of a ride. So for those of you who've never played the original Dying Light, first of all, do yourself a favour and get on it. You can find it for hella cheap, so you have no excuse to not play it. So the original Dying Light came out in 2015, aka the golden year before the whole world started to decline, and was made by none other than Techland. Prior had made a little known game called Dead Island. And if I have to explain what that game is, well then you really need some education. Dying Light 1 was set in a fictional city of Haran, where a viral outbreak forces the city to be quarantined, and you, Kyle Crane, after down cans of monster, kick some infected ass. Just kidding. But seriously, Kyle Crane, could you have picked a more wannabe cool kid name? Anyways, you meet up with a few survivors, you kick some infected booty, and without spoiling too much, it turns out the government's actually wanting to use the virus as a weapon, which leads us to Dying Light 2 Stay Human. So this game was originally announced back in 2018 at E3, but then it kind of appeared to have been shelved because it kind of went very silent for a while. But finally, the devs are back, and boy are they back in full swing. So this game is set 20 years after the original, so it kind of stands on its own in terms of story. Military kind of screwed up, and you know, one of their tests, because they were doing tests on it, and it got loose. And pretty much, you know, one thing led to another, and the whole world's screwed. Funnily enough as well, this viral outbreak happened in 2021 in December, when this game comes out. So this game is set in the fictional city of Villador, where you play as Aiden Caldwell, an outcast in search of a person, which is the only thing that ties him to his life before the outbreak. So how this game differs setting-wise compared to the slums and the city of the first game is it's pretty much just a much bigger, ginormous city. Here, due to the chemicals used to try and stop the infection, the soil is dead and pretty much no living thing exists on the ground floor. So people have taken from the ground to the roofs to live. This has increased the verticality. Drastically. God, say that 20 times. This has increased the verticality drastically. That's how the devs kind of described it, was a multi-level 3D world. So this will hopefully mean that there's many kind of buildings to enter. There was a few in the first game, and hopefully rather than just, you know, being mostly just roofs, you'd actually be able to enter a lot of the buildings throughout the map. So obviously as well, like the first game, Dying Light 2 will have a day and night cycle, but this game is kind of aiming to be drastic compared to the first one. So obviously the first one, you know, there was always zombies, and at night they just kind of got more aggressive. This, they're kind of planning to make it so during the day you'll mostly find humans scavenging the ground levels, trying to get, you know, some supplies. This is where you'll be able to interact with them, you know, do quests, make friends, make some enemies. But at night, this is where the infected crawl out of, you know, the buildings, whatever hole they're hiding in. And boy, from the infected I've seen so far, let me tell you, it looks like it's actually going to be genuinely terrifying to be out at night. However though, with night also comes opportunity. So all those, you know, holes that the infected are in during the daytime will be mostly empty during the night. So if you're, you know, brave enough to explore them, you might be able to find some very, very nice high tier loot. So that's going to be the risk reward factor to being out during the night. Speaking of loot, Dying Light 1 was known for having tons of crazy weapons and guns, and you know, it doesn't look like they're going to change going forward. The first game was very kind of heavily relied on a lot of community modding as such, and that brought a load of weapons and they released them as, you know, actual official content stuff. So I have high expectations for the community and the devs working together for this game. So there will be 3 main factions in the city. You're going to have the survivors, which is kind of just your everyman people just trying to survive. You have your peacekeepers, which are ex-military trying to enforce their rule. And then you will have renegades, who are ex-convicts seeking to pretty much just take over everything. You'll be able to help one or more of these factions, and you'll help them secure different territories, which will shape the map and give you different perks, different weapons for each of the factions, and pretty much kind of make your maps more dynamic. Also as well, this game will be up to 4-player co-op, so you'll be able to go to your friends' worlds and see how choices that they have made have affected their world. There's one thing they really want to do with these factions as well is your choices will kind of drastically affect how the map is going to look. You know, we've seen some things of blowing up some places or reducing some water levels, so it'd be interesting to see what way they try and implement that into the actual story, and will they be actually meaningful changes, because a lot of the games these days, they'll bring these kind of, you have this choice, but it doesn't really affect it too much. So that's going to be the main thing when it comes to these factions. So story-wise, as well as trying to find this one person that ties you to your past, you will also meet a group of people called the Night Runners, and these are ex-military officers who didn't like the harshness of how the military were treating, you know, the people, so they broke off in, you know, hopes to try and help them. But also, apparently, you know, you might not agree with some of their decisions, and that's where the people and the factions and the decisions are really meant to kind of come in. Overall though, this game is shaping up to be quite something. They only briefly touched on the parkour in their first showcase episode, but apparently it's getting even better, and I can't wait to see. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and sub. I really do appreciate it, and it helps the channel grow. Till next time guys, remember, be awesome, stay human, and as always, have an awesome day.